Well, friends, we have come to the close of our fall 40-day sadhana. I do hope that the time we spent together on this journey has been transformative for you and that you found your way back to the mat, getting easier and easier and more joyful. Whether you followed along to the videos or did your own sadhana, your own designed sadhana, that's irrelevant. It's just the sticking to the concept of practice for 40 days straight. And what I'd like you to think of is perhaps rather than this being an end, that it's actually a beginning towards the concept of infusing practice into your daily life. It doesn't have to be complicated. You know, some of the videos were 5 minutes long. It doesn't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. Don't overthink it. Don't get in the way of yourself and your practice. But there is a certain extent of making that a non-negotiable priority. I think that's one of the things that is honestly something we need to look at when we're trying to really put our time and energy into this, whether it's for health and wellness, mental and emotional, or to achieve a certain pose. Again, it's kind of irrelevant. It's more about the discipline and the dedication that you make to yourself. Barbara Stoler-Miller's translation of the Bhagavad Gita is called Yoga, the Discipline of Freedom. And I love that quote because really that's what yoga is to me. It is a structured process that you go to, that you commit to, that is a non-negotiable. But within that discipline, within that structure, you find a wealth of freedom you may never have known existed before. So I'll leave you with that note and then read you a quote or actually a couple of verses from Guruji's book, Light on Life. And it's important to note that this book was written much later on in life. He was late 80s. And so he had done his sadhana for many decades and was still working on his sadhana. And his sadhana had to change over time as he aged, just like everybody else, as he had conditions. And so he had heart conditions, he had knee issues. It wasn't like nothing ever touched him, even after he took up the practice, because we know he was unwell before he started. But nevertheless, this book is a lovely book, and you can pick it up and read kind of inspirational quotes from it to keep you on the path. And it's from lived experience, which to me is really something of value rather than someone's perceptions or philosophical meanderings at this stage of my personal practice anyways. So let me just read what I had in mind for you, and first show you my bookmark for this is this is you, right? This is you, this is all of us, and that is the diptir, that is the light that is shining. So this is very close to the end of the book, called Living in Freedom. Life is learning. This whole book has been founded on a series of demarcations, the 5 sheaths, the 5 elements, the 5 subtle counterparts. It is a fruitful way to direct the quest towards the exploration of nature and the discovery of the soul. But in the back of our minds, we should not forget that all sheaths and elements, all obvious demarcations, whether between gross or subtle bodies, do not arise at all. All are interwoven in consciousness. Hence, the ultimate reach of yoga is the total transformation of chitta, consciousness, that pervades our whole being with awareness and that knows no frontiers. My hope is to have overcome the prejudice of Hatha Yoga that it's only a physical and that it is nothing to do with the spiritual life. People have equated the practice of asana with physical practice. My life's work has been to show how even from humble beginnings, this is a path that can lead to the dedicated practitioner, to the intersection of the mind, body, and the soul. What I have endeavored to say about asana is that the posture should be comfortable and steady. The steadiness comes only when the effort has ended. So you have to train the body in such a way that what seems complex becomes simple. In my asanas, I have no strain anywhere, as my effort ceased long ago. Because my effort is at an end, I can offer my practice as an offering to the Lord God, so that my practice, I join him in the infinite. We are wrong to think that we are dull and inert. If your fire were extinguished, you would not be alive. Yogic fire, yogangani, exists in a latent or pristine state in everyone. It has consumed my life, but nothing is accomplished forever. If I let the cool ashes cover my fire through carelessness, arrogance, or laxity of practice, the fire will lose its transforming heat. I have not retired and I never shall. I will always keep the inner fire burning. That is why practice, sadhana, cannot be stopped. Of course, I age and regress at certain levels, but my body and mind are the servers and followers of the soul. The unity of these three gives me the right to call myself a yogi. But even though I am on a spiritual level, I will never say that practice is not required. I am old and death inevitably approaches, but both birth and death are beyond the will of a human being. They are not my domain. I do not think about it. Yoga has taught me to think of only working to live a useful life. The complexity of life of the mind comes to an end at death, with all its sadness and happiness. If one is already free from that complexity, death becomes natural and smooth. If you live holistically at every moment, as yoga teaches, even though the ego is annihilated, I will not say, die before you die. I would rather say, live before you die, so that death is also a lively celebration. Hokusai, the great Japanese artist, said when he was already in his 70s, that given another 10 years, he would be a great artist. I salute his humility. Let me conclude by quoting the words of Spanish artist Goya, who in his 78th year of life, when he was already deaf and debilitated, said, I am still learning. It is true for me too. I will never stop learning. And I have tried to share some of these lessons with you. I do pray that my end is your beginning. The great rewards and the countless blessings of a life spent following the inward journey await you. So just a reminder, this is your diptir, your reminder of the light that shines within you, that once lit will continue to burn if you add enough fuel to sustain it. So I do hope that this has inspired you, this 40-day sadhana has inspired you to see that you can do challenging things, you can do hard things, you can make commitments, you can find that part of yourself that is disciplined but also experiences the freedom from a disciplined practice. I'm always here for you if you have questions. I'm dedicated to teaching this practice, which has meant so much to me in my life. My practice isn't perfect. I stumble and fall. I have my own setbacks, my own conditions, and still I remain on the path of practice because it has resonated with me more than anything else I've encountered thus far. So all the best, namaskar, don't be a stranger, and your challenge for today is to just take one of the recordings that from the previous sessions, or your own practice, whatever you've committed to wanting to explore during this sadhana, and do that. So you're your teacher now. You guide yourself towards what you think you need at this moment. And namaskar to all of you. Truly grateful for your commitment and your interest in this practice. See you on the mat.